Nonprofits. So, what's funny is even when I say it, nonprofits, it feels like there's no profit, but nonprofit doesn't mean no profit. There's a lot of profit in nonprofits. The thing is that the profits don't go to individual people. The profit doesn't go to the founder or any individual. There's no personal gain from the profits that are made in a nonprofit. The profits are invested in the mission. The profit go towards the philanthropy and the cause. Whatever it is that you've set out to do in that nonprofit, that is what that money is for. I want to give you some scenarios of some people that come into the office and have questions. Sometimes people are passionate about a project and they come in and they want to start a nonprofit, but then they're kind of jarred into reality when I tell them no one owns a nonprofit. A nonprofit doesn't have owners. You're a founder, you're a board member, and when you establish your board, each board member has equal voting rights. So technically, you could be the founder of your board, you could be the president of the organization, and as you develop the board over the years, eventually, everybody could outvote you and you could get fired. It's the risk that you take in the world of nonprofits because no one owns it. So you want to make sure initially when you start it that you get board members that align with your vision, that are committed to your cause, because it's one decision that you're not going to be able to take back once it's established because each person has equal voting rights. So that kind of jars people and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that, or somebody will come in and they'll say, well, I own a nonprofit, and it's the wrong language. There's no one that owns it. I want you to be empowered to have the right language because it could cost you a grant. It could cost you some money. It could cost you a contract because people want to know that you're governing the organization properly. You are governed by a board of directors and you want your board to be strong. You want your board to be diverse. You want your board to be influential. You want your board to be committed to your cause. So nonprofits. The other thing is that people come in and they think, okay, you know what? I'm going to start a nonprofit because I want a grant. If grants were that easy, everyone would get them. It doesn't work like that. Your nonprofit has to be grant worthy. What does that mean? That means it needs to make sense on paper. It needs to have all the T's crossed, have all the I's dotted. Do you have the proper tax ID number? Do you have the proper exemptions? Do you have the federal exemption, the state exemption, the Department of Justice? Do you have a charitable trust? Are you registered with the right agencies? Are you listed with GuideStar by Candid? Are you listed with Google Nonprofit? Are you in the realm or the world of nonprofits? The thing is that just because you have the idea, the nonprofit has to have the ability to stretch and grow beyond you so that it could fulfill its purpose. And so the nonprofit, it's about you having a proper mission statement. Sometimes people come in and they have a mission and they think about where they are now and they create a mission. And that mission is on your articles of incorporation. And I want to give you a tip. When you design your mission, make your mission encompass the future of where you want to go. If you're feeding the homeless on 43rd, maybe you want your mission statement to say our purpose is to feed, encourage, empower the homeless population throughout our community. Don't put 43rd Street, because then what happens is when you go beyond that, your mission has locked you in to a particular area. I want you to be free to grow in the vision of where you want to go. So just make sure that mission can be encompassing of that future. The other thing is when you're choosing your board, you want to take some time and get people that align with your mission, get people that are committed to your mission. Because if they're not willing to invest time or money, if they're not willing to invest in the cause that you have, then the reality is that you're going to be doing all the work. And everyone is just going to be a dummy board. And that's what they call it. Not that they're dumb, but that no one is doing anything except for you. Or they'll all just sign off or say yes to whatever it is that you want to do. And you don't want that either, because people want to give to those that are already giving. They're going to ask, well, how much has the board given to this? And then sometimes they'll match that when you go after monies from foundations. I want you to be prepared to receive money. The nonprofit is still a business. It still has articles of incorporation. It still goes through the process. It still has to get the tax ID number. And just because you incorporate as a nonprofit doesn't mean that you're tax exempt. It doesn't mean that you're grant ready. I've seen people year after year, they come and they say, well, I started a nonprofit 3 years ago and I'm not sure what's going on with it. I'm like, you never got it exempt. Just because you were incorporated as a nonprofit doesn't mean that you are tax exempt. You have to go through the tax exemption process. And please don't belittle the state exemptions. State exemptions can be very powerful. And this I'm just giving to you extra. It can be very powerful because a state exemption, if you're doing an organization, a group home, if you're using a property exclusive for the nonprofit, if you have a state exemption, the nonprofit actually could allow that exemption to cover being exempt for property tax. It can be worth a lot of money. Go through the process and make sure that you've covered all the exemptions that are available to you. So a nonprofit is a beautiful thing to do, but make sure you understand what you're getting into. Oh, it's great, I don't have to pay taxes. You still got to do tax returns. Oh, it's great, I'm going to get it and get grants. You're still going to have to do the reports. You might have to produce audited reports. You might have to produce annual or quarterly financials. You're going to have to be ready for them to look at everything that you're doing, because in a nonprofit, everything is public record. Every major nonprofit right now, we could look them up online and show you their 990. Why? Because it's public record. That is what you have to agree to in exchange for the exemption. What does the exemption do? Why do I want the exemption? The exemption is what's needed for you to get the grants, and it's what's needed for people to be able to write off what they donate to you. So you want to make sure that you get that done and get it done right. It can be retroactive to the date that you started. If you've already filed your articles for your nonprofit and you're already kind of doing the work, those are things that can be backdated and can go back. But whatever the case in your scenario, if you have any questions about the nonprofit, please give us a call. We're passionate about philanthropy. We're passionate about causes. We want to see people be able to navigate the realm of business with honor and integrity. And nonprofits are no different. Why? Because it's still business. You can still build credit. You can still have, and you still need indemnification and separation. And we want you to have all the information needed to be successful, to grow, to have viability, scalability, and to be able to build legacy. A lot of times the nonprofit work is a part of our legacy work in the world. Because you want to be able to say, you know what, I'm making a difference, and this difference is making the world better. Call us today. Let us help you. Schedule some time with one of our consultants, and we'd be more than happy to go through the options, the possibilities, and whatever it is that you might need to start, support, fix, or even get your nonprofit to the next level today. Thank you so much.